right, we are back. Hi, Chad.
Hey, Barry. How are you? Looking good today.
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I got a haircut.
I know you got a nice cut. Mine's growing longer. The variations of COVID we're going through here.
I decided to use the background this time. You know, if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Can't have you one-upping me with that beautiful background.
Run up and me with that nice wavy hair right now.
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. Thank you for noticing. So we did the top 10 business planning mistakes, which turned out to be, I believe, 18. And then we did the top 10 estate planning mistakes,
which is now 17.
Which I reserve the right to add to them, and that's what we're doing today. We're adding the remaining, I guess, 4 or so items that I missed. So let's just jump right in.
Sure.
Number one. What's up? Sorry.
No, go ahead, Barry. Go ahead.
So number one was, failing to plan for tax.
What kind of tax are you talking about, Barry?
There's a lot. There's a lot of kinds of taxes.
Lots of tax.
It's really just burden everybody. In my world, it's estate tax, gift tax, generation skipping transfer tax, and believe it or not, income tax. Income tax is a big part of estate planning. That people, I think, commonly misunderstand and disregard.
Can you tell us, how could income tax be related to estate planning? If most times with estate planning, the individual has passed away, how does income tax play into the planning that you do?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. So there's 2 ways. Number one, estate planning is not just about what happens when you pass away. It's also about what happens during your life while you're living and you're paying taxes. So there's cases where you may want to shift the tax burden to someone else who has a lower tax bracket during life. There's gift tax consequences of doing that during life, but there's also income tax benefits. After you pass away, there's still income tax on assets. So if you gift something to someone and they sell it, there may be very different income tax consequences than you anticipated. People are only thinking about estate tax, but that's wrong. Income tax planning has been the forefront of people, practitioners' minds since the exemption increased to over $11 million per spouse. And so getting into that discussion is really more of talking about basis, which I'd like to reserve for a standalone video.
Okay, we'll leave you that right to reserve it then.
With your permission. We will reserve that to a standalone video as part of our long list of standalone videos.
How about a brief summary of what basis is, just for general understanding purposes?
So basis is kind of like what you paid for an asset, plus modifications to it, and that's either inherited if you get gifted to somebody during life, or it's adjusted if you gifted to them on death. In either case, when it gets sold by your beneficiary, there's a tax consequence, and you can do very positive things for your family with a little bit of thought and planning.
All right, that's a perfect, succinct answer right there.
Lots of practice. So, taxes is something to think about in every single plan. Even if you don't think you have an estate or a big estate, you do have tax consequences, so pay attention to it. Number 2.
And are you grouping capital gains tax into that category as well? I assume that's what you're referring to with selling assets or
it's not necessarily what I'm referring to at all, but yes,
okay.
It's just part of the income tax. Yes, absolutely. Because there could be more or less tax, and then what you're talking about is the character of the tax.
Right.
And the character of tax will affect the amount of tax. So yes. That was new number 14.
Yep.
Number 15 and number 16 are similar in the sense that we're talking about predominantly after death. Most people don't want their estate to be left to a beneficiary that is struggling or suffering from substance abuse.
Big hot topic right now in the country, obviously.
It really is. I mean, I think that, and that's kind of, I think, if you tell me, but that's kind of a manifestation of a mental health issue that I think is just the elephant under the rug. Elephant under the rug. That makes no sense. The elephant in the room that gets
We can use elephant as the
swept
rug
under the
if
rug.
you'd like.
That was silly. I think mental health is a big deal. It gets overlooked. People don't respect psychology. They don't respect mental health, and then I think substance abuse is the byproduct of people being stuck at home, not working, not being able to see loved ones in this environment. It's a grudge.
Especially right now with everyone being stuck at home for as long as they are, it's
Yeah.
definitely becoming more and more of an issue.
So even if the COVID environment wasn't what it is, substance abuse and protecting beneficiaries from having access to money to buy more substances, um, and not get the help they need was important already.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, the only way to deal with that problem is to not give them assets or use a trust. If you leave it to statute, they might get the money and it will be gone. It will be gone.
It spoke about somewhere in the top 10 probably earlier about intestacy. Forget what
Yeah.
number it was, but I know we touched upon that.
Yeah, intestacy is the statutory default for what happens in most circumstances, both during life and after death. It's decided for you, so it's not good. Substance abuse is important consideration. Special needs is an important one. Primarily, you want these beneficiaries to not receive money because if
Right.
they receive money, they get disqualified from receiving benefits because the government said if you have
And
money, you got to use it.
you can elaborate a little bit more on this, but it's not just the parents, correct? If grandparents leave a special needs child money, that could also count against them, correct?
New number 18. So, yeah, you want to make sure that you're not inadvertently disqualifying special needs beneficiaries
And
from getting the
what
benefit.
is that number? I know it's incredibly small. People actually are shocked when they hear how small the number is that a special needs child could receive, but I'm not sure of the exact numbers.
The issue is basically there's different bodies of law that relate to what you're talking about. So to kind of just keep it simple, um, you the government basically says if you have money, you have to use that money first. And so if you put the money into a trust, and the trust is for the benefit of a special needs child or not child, adult, um, the trustee is really controlling it. The beneficiary has no rights to it. They don't own it. And they have no way to compel a distribution. It's not counted. And so they can continue to keep the benefits. And then you have this like supplemental income. It's often referred to as a supplemental needs trust for that reason. It's just a tragedy to see this type of thing happen because people just don't know better. So you group substance abuse with special needs beneficiaries into I think, the same concept of protecting the beneficiaries' assets or protecting their inheritance. And under that umbrella, I think you can add um, two more things. Number one is just beneficiaries who are responsible. They're going to make bad decisions. They're going to take that money. They're going to go to Vegas and they're going to stay at the Wynn.
Every parent
And
says the number.
they're going to go to the Wynn poker room, particularly. If you don't want that to happen, the only way to do it is to put it into trust and control it or have somebody else control it and just have conditions, have limitations, have structure to it. The second group I'd add to that umbrella would be subsequent marriage and partners. If you pass away and your husband or your wife, we'll say the wife passes away and the husband falls in love with a beautiful 22-year-old Miami Heat dancer.
That never happens here in South Florida.
Never, never. In that situation, I mean, your hard earned assets are basically going to now be benefiting this new partner and probably not going to trickle down to your kids the way you want it to. And furthermore, if the husband gets married to said Miami Heat dancer, that person now has rights upon your husband's passing away, as a spouse to pretty much guarantee the lateral movement of those assets instead of the downward movement of those assets. And that's a problem that only can be really resolved by using a trust. And the last thing I added just now in your honor, new number 18 on our top 10 is
And you just wanted to even it out so we each had 18. I know what you were doing there.
I forgot about you at 18. That's right. But that's, I'm all about being fair. Fair and reasonable all the time. Fair and reasonable all the time. Call me out. So you brought it up though, so it's kind of your fault. So the big mistake that I see is where you have a family that like does really good planning, very sophisticated, very thoughtful, and then you have part of their other extended family members that don't plan and give to your family. And if you have any of these situations with substance abuse, special needs, irresponsible beneficiaries, assets that they didn't think about the tax consequences of, letting IRAs go to the estate, it just compounds the problem. And
Yeah.
you're not coordinating well. So be mindful of grandparents and how they're planning and how it affects your plan. Because it'd be horrible if the grandparents gift to a special needs kid and it disqualifies them from the benefits that you just spent a lot of time and money protecting.
So when you're sitting down with your clients and putting together an estate plan, would be something you typically would ask them, "Hey, what are your parents considering doing? Do they have any plans in place? Because we want to, is that something you talk about?"
New number 19 is I talk to them about this stuff, but the problem is that people don't talk amongst themselves. They don't know. It's all a big secret. It's all a big hush hush secret. They don't know. And they should know. And it's really beneficial to make sure that the people in your plan know that they've been appointed. It's helpful to know the people and what they're getting, how they're getting it, and how it integrates into the plan. So yes, we do, but no, we don't get the information usually. That's 19. I think we did a great list. I think that this was um, a really enjoyable process. I'm excited to do some breakouts,
Yeah.
dedicated sessions with
Like
you.
topics we need to focus on a little more in depth for sure.
I think that you and I have our ideas of what to do, but I think that we should get some feedback as well from people who are tuning in and let them help drive the boat a bit in the direction
Yeah.
that we go, and especially with the guest speakers that we're going to get. So uh, I think we can wrap here, and we can.
Pleasure as always.
Always good to see you.
Hope you go stop your tornado.
He's a wild one. This one. He's a wild one. All right. Good to see you. We'll pick it up soon.
All right, babe.
All right. Bye bye.
Take care.